It was just another Tuesday morning, the kind where the world feels predictable: coffee brewing, birds chirping, the usual. But when I stepped outside, something caught my eye: a neon pink slip flapping under my car's windshield wiper. My stomach sank. I yanked it free, scanning the bold black text: $150 fine. Driveway violation. What? This was our driveway, our property. It made no sense. I glanced at the empty space beside my car, my mind racing to piece it together. Then it clicked. Last night, we'd hosted a big family party to celebrate my sister's college graduation. It ran late, and a few relatives parked in our driveway instead of the street. Nobody gave it a second thought. I stormed inside, my pulse pounding. "Dad, you've got to see this." My father, James Carter, looked up from his coffee, one eyebrow raised. As a senior loan officer at River Valley Bank, he's used to handling money and rules, so he doesn't rattle easily. But when I handed him the slip, his forehead creased. "A fine for too many cars in our own driveway," he muttered, shaking his head. "This is nonsense." My mom, still in her robe, wandered in and peered over his shoulder. "That's absurd," she said. Dad grabbed his phone and dialed the HOA office. We all huddled around as the call connected. "Oakwood Estates HOA, this is Lisa Bennett speaking," came a sharp voice. Dad kept his tone even. "This is James Carter from 312 Elm Street. We got a parking violation this morning, but I think there's been a mistake." A short, humorless laugh crackled through the speaker. "No mistake, Mr. Carter. Section 7.3 states residents can have no more than 2 vehicles in their driveway at any time. You had 5. That's a $150 fine." Dad's grip tightened on the phone. "Lisa, these were overnight guests for my daughter's graduation. Surely there's an exception." Her reply was smug, like she relished the moment. "Rules are rules, Mr. Carter. If everyone parked wherever they wanted, this place would look like a junkyard. The fine's due in 10 days, or it doubles." Dad's jaw clenched, and just like that, the battle lines were drawn. That night, Dad sat at the kitchen table, flipping through the HOA rulebook we'd barely glanced at when we moved in 3 years ago. Sure enough, the driveway rule was there, hidden on page 37 of a 50-page document, something you'd miss unless you were hunting for it. "This is insane," I said, reading over his shoulder. "Who even cares about this stuff?" Dad rubbed his temples. "People who like control." The next afternoon, our neighbor, Mr. Thompson, stopped by. He'd lived here for decades, but I'd never seen him so agitated. "She's on a power trip," he said, shaking his head. "Last week, Lisa made my kid take down his basketball hoop. It had been up for 5 years, no issue. Then she fined the Lopezes for planting unapproved flowers. And poor Mrs. Evange, 80, and Lisa hit her with a violation for a bird feeder that was too big." My blood started to boil. Lisa wasn't just enforcing rules. She was hunting for reasons to punish people. The next morning, another pink slip awaited us. Grass exceeding 3.5 inches. $75 fine. Dad stared at our lawn, which he'd mowed 3 days ago. "She's messing with us," he said, crumpling the paper. That's when he went into overdrive. He dug up old violation notices, HOA meeting minutes, anything he could find. A pattern emerged. Certain houses, like ours and Mr. Thompson's, were getting slammed with fines, while others never got touched. Then the fines got downright ridiculous. Wind chimes too loud, $50. Garden gnome not on approved list, $100. Trash bins visible for more than 5 minutes after pickup, $200. By week's end, we'd racked up over $400 in violations. One afternoon, I caught Lisa standing across the street, not even hiding it. She was watching our house, smirking as she snapped a photo of our lawn. We were being targeted, and it was getting worse. One evening, Dad came home from work with a look I'd never seen, part amusement, part disbelief. He set his briefcase down and pulled out a folder. "Guess what I found today?" he said, flipping through papers. "The HOA's applying for a $1.2 million loan." Mom and I stared. "For what?" I asked. "To renovate the community center," he said. "Big project, fancy upgrades." And guess which bank they applied to? It hit me like a freight train. "Yours?" Dad nodded, his grin widening. "And guess who's reviewing their loan?" Everything snapped into place. Lisa had no idea the family she was harassing held the key to her pet project. But she didn't slow down, if anything. She got bolder. Another fine arrived, claiming our mailbox was the wrong shade of black. Then another, our hose wasn't properly stored. The message was clear, she wanted us out. Others were suffering too. Mr. Larson, 2 houses down, got a $200 fine for leaving his garbage bin out too long. Mrs. Evans got another violation for her bird feeder. A single mom, Emily, was fined because her kid's bike wasn't parked correctly in their driveway. One night, Mr. Thompson showed up at our door with a crowd half the neighborhood, pink slips in hand, sharing stories of Lisa's tyranny. Mom spread the fines on the table, and a pattern emerged. She's only targeting certain families, she said. Dad opened his laptop, pulling up the HOA's financial records. Look at this, he murmured. In 1 year, they'd collected $122,000 in fines, but there were no new projects, no repairs, just payments to a contractor that didn't exist. The room went quiet. They're stealing from us, Mr. Thompson said. Lisa wasn't just abusing power. The entire HOA board might be embezzling. The night of the next HOA meeting, the air felt electric. These meetings were usually dead, just a few board residents while the board steamrolled decisions. Not this time. The room was packed. Dad, Mr. Thompson, and 20 others marched in together. People clutched copies of their fines, whispering and glaring at Lisa, who sat up front. When she saw us, her smile wavered. She rushed through the agenda: landscaping rules, new signs, anything but money. Dad waited, then raised his hand. Before we move on, I'd like to discuss the HOA's $1.2 million loan application. Lisa froze. That's confidential board business, she snapped. Dad didn't flinch. Actually, per Article 4, Section 2 of the bylaws, members have a right to full financial disclosure, especially when the loan's backed by our dues. Murmurs spread. Lisa gripped the table, forcing a smile. Everything's in order, Mr. Carter. Dad pressed on. Then why not share the financial reports? Her jaw tightened. The details are still being finalized. Dad stepped forward. In the last year, this HOA collected $122,000 in fines, but only $3,200 is reported in the financials. The room went silent. He laid a folder on the table. Where's the rest? Gasps erupted. Mrs. Lopez stood up. I paid my fine 8 weeks ago, and you cashed my check the next day. Where's that money? Emily chimed in. My bike fine was cashed too, but it's not in the reports. Voices piled on. Lisa grabbed her gavel and slammed it. This meeting is over, she barked, storming out with her papers. But she wasn't escaping a meeting, she was running from the truth. The next morning, our front garden was trashed, plants ripped up, pots smashed, dirt everywhere. Dad surveyed the damage, his jaw tight. Check the security camera, he said. I pulled up the footage, and there she was, Lisa, at 2:17 a.m., yanking plants with both hands, even kicking over a gnome. When our motion lights flicked on, she froze, then bolted to her car. As if on cue, Mom yelled from the door, another pink slip. Landscaping debris, $200. I almost laughed. She destroyed our yard, then fined us for it. Hours later, an official HOA letter arrived, accusing us of harassing her. She's flipping this around, Mom said. Dad exhaled. She's desperate. That night, Lisa showed up at our house, no longer smug. James, she said, forcing a smile, can we talk? Dad crossed his arms. Go ahead. She lowered her voice. I'll erase your fines all of theme if you drop this loan nonsense. Dad didn't blink, discreetly recording on his phone. Why would I do that? Lisa's voice turned sharp. This is bigger than you think. Keep pushing, and things will get ugly for your family. Dad let her finish, then stopped the recording. I'll be sending this to my bank's fraud department. Lisa's face went white. Dad reported the HOA for financial fraud, and a full bank audit kicked off. Lisa panicked, posting a wild Facebook rant about how our family was tearing the neighborhood apart. It backfired spectacularly. Comments flooded in. Lisa, you fined my grandma for a bird feeder. You charged a single mom $100 for a kid's bike. Where's the fine money, Lisa? The community turned on her. A week later, the audit results landed. Dad read the email at dinner, letting out a low whistle. It's worse than we thought. The report showed thousands in fines funneled to fake invoices for work never done, most payments tied to Lisa's brother-in-law's sham company. This is enough to take them down, Dad said. The next HOA meeting was chaos. The whole neighborhood showed up, some waving fine notices, others just glaring at Lisa. She sat up front, no smile, no confidence, just shuffling papers. Dad stood. We need to talk about the audit. Lisa tried to cut him off. That's private. Dad shook his head. Not when it involves stolen funds. He laid out the evidence. Over $100,000 in unaccounted fines, funneled to a fake company tied to Lisa's family. Mrs. Lopez spoke up. My $300 fine for patio furniture, where is it? Emily added. My bike fine's missing too. The room erupted. Mr. Thompson, a retired judge, stood. I call for an emergency vote to remove Lisa Bennett and the entire board. Lisa gaped. You can't. Thompson cut her off. It's in the bylaws, and we have enough members present. Hands shot up. 92% voted to oust the board. Lisa shoved her papers into her bag, tipped over her chair, and stormed out. The next day, her loan application was denied. Without HOA funds, her community center dream collapsed. The bank's fraud department sent their findings to the district attorney, and investigators zeroed in on Lisa's finances. A few weeks later, she was gone. No goodbye, just a moving truck in her driveway one morning. By afternoon, her house was empty, listed for sale the next week. Nobody missed her. With the old board gone, the neighborhood elected a new HOA. Mr. Thompson took the helm, rewriting the rules to be fair: no more petty fines, no more power trips. To celebrate, we threw a massive block party. Music blared, lights twinkled, and cars lined both sides of the street just to make a point. Late that evening, Lisa's daughter, Claire, approached our porch, nervous. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for what my mom did. I nodded. It wasn't your fault. She sighed. She thought she was protecting the neighborhood, but she lost sight of what mattered. As Claire walked away, I looked at the driveway packed with cars, kids playing in the street, neighbors laughing together. It all started with a parking fine, but it was never about parking. It was about fairness, about standing up when something's wrong. Sometimes, the smallest injustices expose the biggest problems, and when you fight back, you don't just fix one thing. You change everything.